Okay, ladies and gentlemen, greetings from Brno, Czech Republic, from headquarters of Flowmon Networks. I would like to welcome you on today's webinar session introducing cooperation with our technology partner Ixia. I'm sure most of you know Ixia as one of the top vendor of network packet broker. And some basic facts about Ixia company: they have almost 2,000 employees across Europe, APAC, and North and South America. They serve various array of customers, including Fortune 100 companies and some of the world's leading carriers and global network equipment manufacturers. My name is Lubos Lunter. I am product manager of Flowmon Networks, and I'm very happy to welcome my honored guest today, Paulo Rebelo, who is Director of Business Development in Ixia. Hello, Paulo. Thank you for joining us today. Tell us something about you.
I'm responsible for the business development of visibility side of the business of Ixia in EMEA, and I'm happy to be here and assist Flowmon. It's one of our key alliance partners in Europe, and I think we have a great technology together. So thank you, Lubos, for inviting me.
Yeah, I'm happy to be with you as well. So before we start, let me briefly introduce today's agenda for the webinar session. At first, this will be a kind of mandatory part for us. I will introduce Flowmon Networks company and how we work with flow data. Then I will pass the word to Paulo, who will introduce Ixia and our joint solution for network visibility. And then I will show you a short demonstration in our online demo to know how we work with flow data, and then we will discuss benefits and various deployment scenarios of Flowmon and Ixia together. So if you have any questions, please use the chat application, and then in the end will be discussion, so we will discuss all your questions. So let me share a few words about our company. As I said, we are based in Czech Republic, Europe. Most of our customer base is from Europe, but we have entered also in other markets such as Japan, South Korea. We are in various regions, but we are very strong still here in Europe. We are very technology based. We were the first vendor in the world with 100G probes in offering, and our customer base is very various, from telcos to Ministry of Defenses and enterprises and others. So we serve across verticals. We are Gartner recognized, settled in Magic Quadrant for network performance monitoring and diagnostics, and we are also recognized in security-related report of Gartner. And we are very happy that we can partner with companies such as Ixia. Very briefly, our 4 value propositions we do all based on Netflow, and we use data from the network to bring visibility. So we use Netflow for troubleshooting use cases, for network performance monitoring to reduce downtimes and network operational costs. Another big topic for us is security and bringing network and next generation network security based on network behavior analysis. So in the other words, we complement traditional signature-based solution with network behavior analysis. The third use case is not about Netflow, but still using network data for network-based application performance monitoring and covering user experience use cases. And the fourth is DDoS detection and mitigation orchestration. But what is more important today is Flowmon architecture to be familiarize how we do the analysis and how we work with flow data, because this is also our mutual and joint solution basics. We have a central appliance called Flowmon Collector, which is deployed in form of hardware or virtual appliance. It consumes flow data from routers, switches, firewalls, Flowmon probes, and what is important, also from Ixia Network Packet Brokers in form of IxFlow. Then the statistics are collected on the Flowmon Collector and can be analyzed with the software which is installed over the collector and used for security, troubleshooting, application performance monitoring, and other use cases. Of course, here you can see network traffic recording, and this is really connected with Flowmon probes, and because we need to do full packet capture. But I will show you at the end of the session various scenarios that Flowmon probe can be also connected directly into the Ixia network packet broker and have this centralized access into all aggregated data from all of the network. So this is how Flowmon works and how we work with flow data. And before I pass the word to Paulo, what is very important in our joint solution, that is, once you have a Ixia solution in place, you can use all data from the network. You have in one place in Ixia device all the necessary data, and it can export IxFlow, which can be collected to Flowmon Collector. So you can fix over 80% of network issues using this data. You can leverage data you already have in your infrastructure. And then you can also use Flowmon for reporting, alerting, and of course deep drill down. And thanks to kind of DPI, which is done by Ixia, and enriching IPFix with other layer 7 fields, you can do even deeper drill down in Flowmon thanks to this. So this was the short introduction, and now I will make Paulo presenter, and please, Paulo, go ahead with your presentation. We can't hear you, Paulo.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, okay, we can hear you.
Okay, starting my slides. Okay, so thank you, Lubos, for passing me by. So let me talk a little bit more about Ixia and how our technologies fit together, Flowmon and Ixia. So basically, we are providing the visibility fabric that feeds Flowmon probes. So we're providing the access with the network taps and bypasses, and the packet brokers that basically distribute the traffic to the tools. So our visibility fabric is built to provide end-to-end insight. So basically, whatever the traffic is monitored, is virtual or physical. If it's coming at the branch, the office, the data center, or cloud, we can capture that traffic and send packets and flows of interest to monitoring tools, which is the case of Flowmon. So, and it doesn't matter if it's physical or virtual. It doesn't matter what type of data, and it's basically a layer that allows you to get data from anywhere to deliver the data you need to the tools for analytics. This from layer 2 to layer 7. So how we fit in terms of the ecosystem is that basically we get the data from our taps and bypasses switches, and we do then aggregation, load balancing, filtering, deduplication, packet stripping, time stepping, regeneration, and this could be on any platform. And going up to layer 7 to get information on application intelligence, threat intelligence, active SSL, mobile subscriber relation, trade information, and feed the right tools. So in an environment where you have a visibility fabric installed, you can then decide for a specific packet if this packet is going to be inspected by Flowmon collector, or if it's going to be a packet that needs to be sent, let's say, to Corville or to Riverbed.
Maybe I will interrupt you. Sorry, we can see only your first slide. Maybe there is some issue with sharing your slides. I can see only the top of the slide deck.
Hold on, I'm gonna go this way then. Can you see it now?
Yeah, I can see now.
The presentation mode wasn't working properly. Okay, so let's do it this way.
Okay.
This visibility layer will feed the security tools, the application network performance tools, the analytic management tools, and the cloud tools. And we basically have a single pane of glass to manage this visibility layer. And in this single pane of glass, we can create flows to feed on the tools. And this is the case of IxFlow that is then explored by Flowmon. So we can go from net stack filtering, which is just layer 2, 3, to packet stack filtering, which goes to layer 7, secure stack in case you need to do SSL, active SSL decryption, and you need to decrypt the traffic before sending it to the tool, and also mobile stack in case of GTP performance. These are multiple platforms with multiple capacities. So basically, this is a solution that works both for inline and offline environments. So we can basically have the traffic being captured by a tap or by a pass in the production network or for the monitoring infrastructure, do all the filtering and packet aggregation in the packet brokers, and then even active SSL decryption, and then feed the tools with that traffic. So in terms of joint technology, this is how we work together, Flowmon and Ixia. So Ixia will provide access to the data of Flowmon. So we get the data from span ports, from taps, from bypasses, and then we basically filter that data, aggregate that data, and select the right data to Flowmon. We can send it as packets, or we can send it as IxFlow packets, which is basically brings the whole metadata information about that packet. And this brings a lot of value to Flowmon, because basically with this, Flowmon can see it all. He has access to all data needed for analysis without having burden in terms of oversubscription. See inside, so basically we can get data from both physical and virtual networks, even east-west traffic happening between two VMs, and no packet loss. So making sure that every single packet is delivered for analysis, and using, of course, metadata information so that Flowmon can do the analysis even with more performance. So how are these in terms of benefits and value to people using both technologies? So Ixia and Flowmon are going to optimize your deployment architecture. So Ixia visibility layer can feed any monitoring infrastructure and optimize that monitoring infrastructure. So if you have a Flowmon deployment, adding Ixia is going to be a great optimization on your Flowmon platform. The fact that Flowmon supports IxFlow, it means that Flowmon can get the full metadata layer 7 information available for analysis. By having a visibility layer in your ecosystem, you have scalability capabilities to your monitoring infrastructure. It's easy to add tools, remove tools, replace tools, both for out-of-band and in-band, because you have a layer that aggregates the traffic that feeds the tool, and you avoid oversubscription of that tool without losing any packets. So that was my presentation, and I pass the hand now to Lubos again. I think you are on mute, Lubos.
Okay, thank you. I have taken over the control of the presentation. Now you should hear me as well. Thank you very much, Paulo, for your introduction of our joint solution, and we will follow with the discussion. First, I will encourage our audience to place questions for us using GoToWebinar tools. And before we have some questions, I will share my screen from Flowmon graphical user interface to show you how we can use the data from Ixia. So can you see now my browser?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we are looking now at the Flowmon Monitoring Center dashboard, where we visualize the flow data which are collected from flow sources to collecting flow data in form of IxFlow from Ixia is very simple. Just enabling special Ixia enterprise extension in form of HTTP hostname and URL, which can be then displayed in analysis, and we can then work with it. I can show you how to do drill down from the dashboard. You can go in Flowmon Monitoring Center for a deeper analysis. Then you have interactive charts and graphs for doing drill down, so you can choose the time which you are interested in for drill down. Then you can display statistics for HTTP hostname, and we can see then results using these host names. And I would highlight that in case of integration with Ixia, we can see directly the host name from the IxFlow. Yeah, now we can see the top statistics for various host names, and then we can do, of course, deeper drill down. We can show conversations IP to IP or another options. We can do it in the way of top statistics, and we can also show direct flows from which is computed the statistics. So then we have raw data available. So this is how we work with flow data and Flowmon. We use them also for another use cases. I will mention Flowmon ADS as I introduced at the beginning of the session. This is our security module doing network behavior analysis and observing the network and finding deviations from normal behavior. But if you are interested in Flowmon ADS, we have separate webinar sessions for this. So just stay tuned for our webinars, and you can find more information about that. So now I'm going back into the presentation, and I will check the questions from audience. Yeah, here is one question for Ixia. How does Ixia capture east-west traffic in a virtual environment? So
it depends. It depends if we're talking about VM architecture or a container-based architecture. If it's a VM architecture, so we set a VTAP probe that gets the traffic from the virtual machine, and GRE tunnels it outside the leaf. If it's the case of the cloud, then we have an agent that sits in a container and then it's going to copying the traffic from a specific application, and then either keep it in the cloud for tools in the cloud or send it outside to the private premises. But it's all about, you know, using this app for the different technologies, VMware, KVM, Citrix, etc.
Okay, thank you. While we are waiting for another questions, let's discuss how important is IxFlow export capability for Ixia. As we know, flow monitoring or flow exporting is definitely not the primary business of Ixia, but maybe it's something additional which makes differentiator. How do you see IxFlow capability from your point of view, Paulo?
So we don't do analytics, but we can see all the traffic. So what we did is that we developed the technology that is able to capture the whole metadata from the packet. So basically know which device generated the traffic, which geography, what's the IP, what's the flow, what's the application. And basically we create this flow and then we can export to the tools that do the analytics. So it's basically all this information that is already gathered and ready for the tool for analysis, which is basically doing a part of the job for the tool, which is great because it optimizes the tool.
Okay, thank you very much. We have another question from audience. What is the difference between IxFlow and IPFix? Would you like Paulo to answer, or do you want me to answer?
So, yeah. Well, I'll answer on my side. So IxFlow is an Ixia proprietary, let's say, metadata construct. So it's based on how we created the technology for looking at metadata and getting the information, especially because we have some security capabilities of seeing malware and let's say malformatted packets. So this is our way of seeing it, and basically we work with companies to support also the way we export the data. So Lubos, on your side?
Yeah, that's exactly and how it is, and I will just add that from our mutual perspective, not all of IxFlow fields make sense for displaying or for collecting on our collector. So we support those of them which make very good sense for customers. For now, it is HTTP hostname and HTTP URL. Then we add, or now Flowmon collector naturally in default adds geolocation information and some other stuff which enriches this pure IxFlow. And we also have some plans into the future to extend this information, this integration, so we will be able to support more fields from IxFlow in future. But this will be the matter of future development. And but what is really important that this IxFlow is as it is based on IPFix, so it's all the standard fields are naturally supported by Flowmon, and that layer 7 stuff enriches it with very, very useful information. Okay, we have another question here. Do you have any success installation which combine Ixia and Flowmon together? I think that we have a few POCs in place, but I'm not sure if there is something in production. Do you have some information, Paulo?
I think from Frank that I understood there was already a couple of cases, but you know, I need to double check. But we have actually proved in let's say a protected environment, because we did a POC and we did a lab that combine our solutions together, that it's working, and it increases the effectiveness of the Flowmon platform using Ixia Visibility.
And I would just add that this is quite fresh cooperation in terms of supporting that IxFlow extensions, because it was released, I think, in Q2, so it is a quarter before. So this is really fresh, and we are waiting for mutual projects in production environment. Yeah, another question: does the analyzer need the capability to consume IxFlow specifically? It does not, in case that you do not need the special enriched fields from Ixia, because Ixia monitors the traffic. It packs the standard IPFix fields and IPFix, and then it does also deep packet inspection to enrich the standard fields with their extensions. And once you do not support their enterprise extensions, you cannot collect them and analyze them. So this is. But if you are okay with standard IPFix fields, you can consume IxFlow, and you do not need any special capabilities. Would you like to add something, Paulo?
No, you pretty much nailed the problem. That's exactly that.
Yeah. Okay. We have another question: can APM run with IxFlow? Unfortunately not, because APM is not based on Flow and works in a different way. There is mandatory to have Flowmon probes, but still you can leverage your Ixia deployment, because you do not need several probes across your network, and you can connect one probe into the network packet broker, where is all the traffic concentrated. So you save your money once you connect only one probe into the network packet broker. And I will show you few another slides in a while, and there will be mentioned this deployment, because there are several different deployments.
Yeah, and I'll also add that maybe if you don't need all the application traffic and you're just analyzing the specific set of applications, then the visibility layer will filter those out and will just send to the APM what he needs to see and needs to troubleshoot at this time.
Okay, so I will go through that scenarios just to understand the deployment. The first scenario is was mentioned before. It's the simplest one. Once you connect network packet broker as a flow source with Flowmon collector, so you can collect IxFlow. The second is the scenario when you are probing from one central point, and this is the answer to the question with APM. Of course, you can use Flowmon APM with a probe, and the advantage is that you need only one probe, because all the network is covered with Ixia and their several tapping points across the network. So you use this and you leverage this traffic from the network packet broker. And the third scenario is quite a specific one. Once you have 10G lines and you would like to monitoring it with one probe, so you can use 100G probe for monitoring 10G lines, and you can then do the full packet capture on the probe. You can do also application performance monitoring, or you can use Flowmon DPI capabilities for enriching Netflow with specific Flowmon-specific fields such as Layer 7, DHCP visibility, DNS visibility, or network performance monitoring fields, and so on. So this was 3 various scenarios, and I have heard also another scenarios which were under proof of concept, and this was security related, such as connecting Flowmon ADS with Threat Armor from Ixia for blocking some malicious traffic. So there is another field for exploring and for future cooperation with Ixia in this security field also. Would you like to comment, Paulo, on these 3 scenarios?
Yeah, so Threat Armor is another function you can have on the visibility layer, which is basically identify a list of IPs that are not from reliable sources and block that traffic. This could be, from blacklists, could be from geographies, can be for certain locations. So basically, this just reduce the attack surface or potential attack surface you may have, getting traffic that you don't need and you don't want.
Okay, thank you for your comment. There is last question and from the audience. What is the maximum aggregation port capacity for a single IxFlow stream? Aggregation port capacity. I'm not sure how this what does mean. If it is the capacity on the Ixia side, or how this is mentioned.
Well, we generate metadata information at line rate. So if it's a 1 gig port, it's 1 gig. If it's 10 gig, it's 10 gig. Now the analytics can be, with different performance approaches, but the generation is at line rate.
Okay, thank you. I'm going back to the questions here on the slide. Here is one bullet point to discuss, whether using IxFlow versus Netflow from active devices versus probing, and what are the pros and what are the cons of each of this. As we mentioned before, the advantage of IxFlow is that there is enriched information comparing to Netflow, standard Netflow. We use for now HTTP visibility, so HTTP URL and HTTP hostname. Of course, there is very big advantage in form of aggregated traffic and in network packet brokers, and Flowmon Probe. There is it is mandatory for use cases such as network-based application performance monitoring, or full packet capture, or on-demand full packet capture, and also mandatory if you need visibility, deeper layer 7 visibility with Flowmon specific extensions. We have another question here in the questions application. Is the IxFlow data generated on the chipset, or is there specific engine needed for generating IxFlow?
Yeah, the IxFlow is generated on the ATI application that sits on the port of the packet broker. So basically, the packet broker has 2 processors, one network processor where the ATIP software runs, and you have the FPGA processor that does the packet processing. So this is a technology that we brought in from Breaking Point, which basically is generating packets at layer 7 for security testing, and it's something that we added to the packet broker architecture seamlessly.
Okay, thank you for answering that. Let's answer that third bullet point. What are the top benefits of our joint solution? There are two perspectives. We as a Flowmon Networks are experts in flow monitoring and network monitoring and using flow data for various use cases, from network performance monitoring and diagnostics via security use cases, and the last is DDoS detection. So I think we have our views are slightly different for this. So from your point of view, Paulo, what is the top benefit of our joint solution?
So we basically are part of the best practice for monitoring infrastructure. The visibility layer is a must to make sure that you have no lost packets and all the traffic is delivered to the tools, and the tools are optimized so they don't get oversubscribed. So we need to work in conjunction with the tool vendors to make sure that our platform can deliver the value they need. And that's why it's important for us working together with Flowmon to make sure that they can exploit our technology and basically add more value to their customers, bringing Ixia into the equation. And this is the case of supporting IxFlow in the Flowmon collector and probe. This is another way of also looking at it. It's a dual investment of both companies, because you think the technology joined together, it's a great customer value at the end.
Okay, thank you. I will add something from our perspective. We appreciate on this kind of cooperation that there is very, very simple deployment once there is some Ixia device in place. It's so simple to starting to collect the flow data and to use them for troubleshooting, for security monitoring. And no matter if customer uses also Flowmon probes, because also the deployment with Flowmon probe is very, very, very simple and straightforward, because there is not tens of devices in place. It is one collector, one probe, and that's it. So it's very, very simple, and the results are visible in a minute, because once you receive the flows on the collector, you can use them, and you have statistics about your traffic in the network for months stored on the collector. So once you need it for troubleshooting or some kind of forensics or security, for solving some security issues, you always can find this on the collector. Our typical deployments has more than 6 months storage capacity. This is the let's say default sizing of Flowmon collector. So this is like how we see this benefits. And something to add, Paulo?
No. I mean, that's the most important key points on our joint, let's say, technologies. If we together we give more value to our end customers.
Okay, so we are out of the time. There are some questions which were not answered yet. We will definitely follow up you with answers, so don't worry about that. And let me summarize today's session. What we bring together with Ixia is absolute visibility and deep insight and very powerful analytics tools. And of course, there is the part from Flowmon, which brings Flowmon to this. This is collection and NPMD toolset, analytics, network behavior analysis, and ultimate performance. We have very powerful probe we have powerful collector. Our top model of collector can manage 400,000 flows per second. So this is per appliance. So this is huge performance. And Paulo, please summarize what Ixia brings to our joint solution.
Yeah, so basically we give access to the data, whatever it is. It doesn't matter if it's physical or virtual. Provide metadata information, full metadata information for layer 7 with the IxFlow information. And of course, we can send the traffic as needed to the tool. So basically, we can remove any duplicate packets, remove any flows that are not of interest. We do packet trimming, interface conversion, packet stripping, whatever advanced functions are needed to optimize the tools and avoid oversubscription. And then this, again, without losing a single packet and making sure that all the packets are delivered for analysis.
Okay, so thank you very much, Paulo. Thank you very much for joining this session today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Pleasure to me to speak with you here in this webinar session, and I'm looking forward for some another mutual events with Ixia. Thank you very much for our attendees. Thank you for your questions. Thank you, and
thank you all.
Stay tuned for another webinar session. Goodbye from Brno.
Thank you, Lubos. Thank you. Okay, bye.